Welcome to this Farming Simulator 25 test video with me, MrSealyp. Ladies and gentlemen, this test video has come about off the back of me doing some wood chipping and sawmill work on my Let's Play on Riverbend Springs, and a few comments and a few messages that people have sent me. So what I'm going to be looking at specifically, we've got the large lodgepole pine, we've got the Scotch pine, and we've got the Manchurian red pine. Now these are the ones of all the trees that you can either place or plant, are the ones that are the easiest and the ones that would use more predominantly tree harvesters. The Manchurian, having such a thick trunk, would require the Hannibal, which I've got over there, but the Hannibal will do all three. But also, so what we're looking at is those three, because they can be harvested. I'm looking at the literage you get from each tree. So if you put these trees, as logs, into the sawmill, what literage do you get from each tree? Now these are placed and they're fully grown, so they're the largest. I'm also going to be looking at the literage you get from wood chipping, because loads of people have messaged me and said, oh, wood chipping's a gold mine now, wood chips are worth so much more. And in doing my wood chipping on my Let's Play, I found, or thought at least, that the trees aren't providing as many wood chips or as much wood chip as they used to on previous versions of the game. Now, obviously, before people start commenting, I'm not talking about the placeable ones. I'm going to be looking at that as an option, because what I've also done, each of those tree types I've planted. So there's a whole load of different things I'll be looking at. I think it's 2 years to be fully grown from a tree being planted, so I'm going to check. So I've got lodgepole pine, Scotch pine, and Manchurian red. I planted 4 of each, and I placed 3 of each. The placed ones I've also cut down 1 of each already, and I've cut those into 8-metre lengths, considered to be the industry standard. I mean, you can cut them into any length you like. Because when I did my guide to forestry, and I placed some of these, the Manchurians, I placed all of them. When I put the Manchurian one through the wood chipper, I got about 23,000 litres of wood chips. I'm pretty sure of the Scotch or the lodgepole, I got 15 or 17,000 litres of wood chips from the placeable ones. However, when I did one off camera on my Let's Play to double check it, I got 444 litres out of one of those. So my assumption then is, between the game first releasing and now, that's been changed. XML files have been tweaked. So I'm going to have a fiddle around. So we're going to try, I'll probably do literage as well. We're going to try wood chipping each and see how many wood chips we get from a placeable, a decorative one. And that's the thing about it. If we go into our build mode here, come down to the bottom, go across to our trees. So the ones we're looking at are lodgepole pine, cost 2,700 to place. The Scotch pine is only 500 to place. And then the Manchurian is next to it, right there, is also 500. Now with these, any of the decorative, on the D-pad we can go to various different sizes as decorative, and it does say a purely decorational object. But like I say, when I did my initial testing when the game first released, it was decorational. However, when you cut them down, I was getting logs that had an amount, and I was getting a literage of wood chip. That may well have changed. So what the first thing I'm going to do then is I'm going to skip through potentially 2 years. I'm going to keep a tally of how many months I've done, and we'll see how long it takes them to grow to full maturity. So that's kind of the first test. Then I'm going to wood chip 1 of each of the trees. I've also got my sawmill here, so it's going to be a few facts and figures for me to work out. I'm going to bring 1 of each tree over from the placeables, again chopped up. I'm going to put them in and see how much literage we get from the placeable ones. Then I'm going to do the same test again for the trees that have grown. My assumption from this is going to be, if they have tweaked the XMLs and the placeables, that the grown ones that you grow yourself will have much better literage than the placeables. That's the theory. The other thing I'm going to be testing right at the very end, hopefully, if I get all these tests done, is the actual wood chippers, because the thing I may have found, and I'm not sure, I put a tree through this, all chopped up into little pieces, and I got a certain amount of litres of wood chips. And this is a modded one. All the things I'm using should be in the description for the video. But there's a little trick to this. A massive shout out to Farmer Manu who pointed this out, which I was completely unaware of. Small stuff goes through the back here, and a lot of people have been saying they've been having trouble getting this to work. It's only 38 grand. It's cheap as chips as far as it goes for a wood chipper. But if you bring logs around to this bit here at the side here, which I thought was just a vent, I just thought it was, you know, you've got your exhaust there. I don't know. If you bring logs around to here, it will take much bigger logs. I mean, it will take a whole tree if you bring it up and get it in the right position. But I'm getting very little literage of wood chips from doing that. So my curiosity is, will I get more wood chips through a base game one, the same tree, or more wood chip through a smaller one? I'll chop it all up into the same amount of sizes. What I'll probably do is bring a tree over that's grown. I'll use a standard wood chipper, I think. Not wood chipper, tree harvester. Probably chop it into 1 metre length so it's easier to feed in. I can just feed it in by hand on both of them and see if the literage is exactly the same. Because I'm curious, if it's not, why would there be a difference through different wood chippers? But again, that's the whole point of the test. If it comes out they're all exactly the same, then we're golden. We're absolutely fine. So what I'm going to do, I will see you... Should I do all the wood chipping? Actually, what I'm going to do, let's do the literage of logs in the sawmill first. Seeing as I've got these cut down already, which means I'm going to need to cut down another one of each, because then I want to do the literage of wood chips. These are the placeables, so these are the decorative trees. Like I said, these are cut into 8 metre lengths. No particular reason, just... It always used to be that was kind of the optimum length. Now, I haven't got the sawmill running. I'm just going to put these in, and then I'll keep a note of what the literage is that's in there. When we put the next lot in, we'll just do some deductions and we'll be able to work out. I've got a funny feeling these are going to be not really worth very much. The other curiosity is going to be, if we wood chip one of these, if the literage of wood chips is way different to the literage you get from the logs. That's always baffled me as well. Either a tree has a certain literage or it doesn't. It's either worth, you know, 20,000 litres or it's not. Why would it be 20,000 litres of wood, but then only 5,000 litres of wood chips? I don't know. But that's just my own personal, my own personal doodaddery. You know how these things go. So, what are we looking at? 8,710 litres. That's not bad, considering that's a placeable tree. So, as a placeable tree, if you don't want to wait for trees to grow and you don't have many trees of a forest, a harvestable variety, that placeable will work. 8 metre lengths, over 8,000 litres. I'm going to make a note of that. So what I'm going to do now, I'll do the others, and I'll tell you in a moment what the literage is for each one, and then it's going to be some growing of trees, I guess. I suppose I could do the wood chipping of each one and give you those figures in a moment as well. At this point, it's time for some facts and figures, people. You've already seen the 3 screenshots. And that's another reason why I'm going to test through this wood chipper. Like I said, I off camera on my Let's Play did one of the Manchurians through this, and I got 444 litres. According to what I just did through this, the Manchurian red pine, 30,446 litres. So let's go through in order then, from large lodgepole, Scotch and Manchurian. So as far as the decorative trees go, large lodgepole, Scotch and Manchurian. For logs, for timber coming into a sawmill, it broke down to the large lodgepole pine was 5,257 litres. So the large lodgepole, that end, 5,257 litres of wood on a decorative. The Scotch pine, 2,665 litres of wood. So not as good. But by far the winner, the one we started off with, was Manchurian Red. The Manchurian Red was 8,710. So even the decorative one, not bad for a tree. Like I say, I'm curious to see, once we've grown our trees, will the planted and grown trees have more literage, or will they be exactly the same? Because if they're exactly the same, then, unless obviously, you know, there is a realism element of planting, you know, the trees, allowing them to grow, then getting, you know, that whole forestry cycle. But if you're just looking for lumber to run a sawmill or to do any other productions that come your way, unless you've got a forest on the map you're on. And the thing is, with the base game maps, there are some forested areas, but they're not what I would call plantation forests. They're a real mixture of stuff. The other proviso I want to put out at this point is, are there other trees that have got more literage to them? Yes, there are. There are a lot of placeable trees, or a lot of trees that are on the map, that are absolutely gargantuan, but they're not harvestable with a tree harvester. They require you to cut them down manually, then chop off the limbs, then cut them up, then put them through a wood chipper, or put them into a sawmill. It's a bit more fiddly, it takes a bit more time, but you can do it. So whilst the thumbnail may say the best tree for X, Y, whatever, I haven't done thumbnail yet, but whatever it might be, I'm kind of referring to the harvestable, and you can plant all sorts of trees, of course you can, but as far as kind of ease of planting, ease of cutting down, ease of use, these 3 kind of come out as the main contenders, but there are other trees that do have more literage. Now, what I'm going to do, I'm not going to do the Scotch pine this time, because I'm really curious about this. Right, we'll go over to our wood chipping. We've got a massive wood chip pile here then. I've already mentioned the Manchurian red pine, but I'll go through them again in order. So, the large lodgepole pine, decorative, wood chip through this wood chipper, 19,154. The Scotch pine, decorative, through that wood chipper, 7,583. So again, not as good. So the 3, it's the Scotch pine that's coming out the worst, or sort of in the 3rd place, let's say. That's our bronze contender. And then, as I said, the Manchurian red pine, 30,446. Quite a large pile, and they are the decorative ones. But like I said, I'm curious now. I'm going to cut down the last decorative large lodgepole. So I'm going to do the Scotch, I'm going to do the large lodgepole. I know that I got 19,154 litres through this wood chipper. What I'm going to do is put it through this wood chipper and see what we get. Because if it's vastly different, we have a problem. Because it's all well and good having a cheaper wood chipper or smaller wood chipper to be able to use, but if the wood chippers are determining how much wood chip you get, not the tree, or the tree and the wood chipper combined, I don't know. But like I say, let's put one through and let's have a look and see, and then I'll grow all the trees and I'll run my cycle again and we'll see what we come out with. I am incredibly curious at this point and intrigued to see what the result will be, and I'll show that little hack as well. I'll try and get as much through this as I can, but if not, we've got this kind of little side port. Maybe that was the issue. Maybe I put a lot of stuff through the side port and it should have gone through there. I'm not sure, but I suppose we can test that maybe on a separate test. But anyway, let's see. Right, and I mentioned it earlier, and I completely, it went out of my head, but this is the Vermeer BC1000 XL by FS Minor and Elson 82. So I'm not in any way trying to knock them. I'm baffled. I'm not gonna lie. You can go into this vehicle, turn the engine on. We have unfolded it already, and I've turned the pipe. I'm going to put the nozzle down towards the ground. I'm going to put beacon on. We'll put the beacon on. Why not? And then we need to make sure that when we turn on the wood chipper, which we've done, and then we put it unload here. So L1 R1 triangle. Now, there could be some argument that, well, you're not getting as much wood chip because you're unloading onto the floor, not into a trailer. If that is the thing, then I would say absolute cobblers to that. That is nonsense. Not that what you're saying is nonsense, that if that's been coded that way, then that's just ludicrous. That would imply that if I unload a trailer load of wood chip onto the ground, I'm going to lose wood chip because it's on the ground. I can't see that it's that. Now, this is what I was going to say as well. We can pick up a lump like that, and providing it's, I say, small enough or big enough, depends on the way you're looking at it. This is nuts. This has already gone way beyond what my previous one had done. I don't understand. Okay, well, the bigger ones are going to be more difficult because I think they're going to be a little bit heavier. But what you can do with this one, if the stuff you're putting in here won't go through this spout, you can bring it around to this side bit here, and it will do this. Again, massive shout out to Palmer Manu, but I am concerned that maybe that was the problem. But again, why? If it will take it as wood chip and spew it out, what difference would it make putting it in this side bit here or there? I would find that very hard to believe. I guess, I say, I'm going to end up just doing a ton of testing just on this. This may be a separate test. Put an entire tree through here and see how much wood chip we get. Then put an entire tree through the side bit and see how much wood chip we get and see if there's a difference. Because I have a concern then that might have been what caused the issue, but I'm curious to see what happens here. Right, let's get the rest of this through. We'll see how much wood chip we get. Like I say, this is the same tree. It's a decorative. It is the large lodgepole pine. Through that wood chipper there, we got 19,154 litres. Are we going to get 19,154 litres putting it through this? If we don't, then what is happening? What is going on in the world? The only difference being, to lease this is about 2 grand, 1,900 something. To lease that is about 33 grand. To buy this is 38, and that's what, 660 or something ludicrous? I mean, not ludicrous, it's a big bit of kit, and that's what they cost, but it is a bit of a concern, isn't it? This is interesting. I can't figure out. Should I do that test now? What I'll do, I'll do the test, but I won't show me doing all of this. I did place another one, just so I know that when my trees have grown, I know when they're fully grown, because I can sort of measure them up against those ones. So I'm going to place another large lodgepole, cut it down, put it over here, and I'm going to put it all through the side and see if we get a different amount. If we don't, then we can put this bit to bed. We won't have to worry about that. But it's all going through here though. I suppose I did put one bit through the side, but we can let that go. Bear with me then when I get the rest of this done. Well, help me understand this. Help me to understand this. Bottom right, 4,556 litres. So, through this wood chipper, which chips wood into wood chips, 19,154. Through this wood chipper, identically placed decorative tree, 4,556. Why? What? Why? What? Makes no sense. I don't even know if I need to do the test with the other one. I've placed one here. I thought, well, I keep placing them over there. I placed it over there, the last one, cut it down, dragged it over, then chopped it. Why did I not just do it here? Make it look easy for myself. I'll do it anyway. If it comes out exactly the same, fine. If it doesn't, I'll see you in a moment just to clarify. But yeah, 4,556 litres compared to 19,154 through that. As if the world isn't confusing enough already. Well, as if this day couldn't get any more confusing or strange. Whilst you can, yes, put stuff in through the side. Don't! I mean, like I say, even putting it through there, a drop from 19154 to 4556, putting it in through the side, same tree, cutting to the same lengths, using the same tree harvester, 1016 litres. Why? Why is it why? What? Why? Why is it different? It does explain. It doesn't make any sense. I don't get it. Through the same wood chipper, and for whatever reason, there's the ability to put stuff in from the side. Why would you get different amounts of wood chips? But that's what I'm seeing. I will do the test again. I need to have a sit down. Let's have a sit down. I've got a lovely little bench here. I'm going to sit on this bench for 2 years until our trees have grown, and then I'm going to run the cycle again. So we'll cut our trees down, each one of the grown trees, not decorative ones, the grown trees. Bearing in mind as well, if you're growing trees, that large lodgepole is 2,700 to buy in place. That one was 500. That one was 500. You get more log input, and you get more wood chips from the Manchurian than you do from the large lodgepole. But the large lodgepole is quite a bit more expensive as a decorative one. As far as saplings go, it's 1,000 for a pallet of saplings, and this is base game, because have we got a modded pack out yet? Not sure, I can't remember now. Maybe we have. I'm thinking of 22 as well. 1,000 for 20 trees. Admittedly, yes, you've got to plant them, and then they take a couple of years to grow. But it is cheaper to do that if you've got the time. I mean, it might be. I used to do it on FS. Was it 15 or 17 on Sosnovka to earn enough money? I would cut down trees, put them on the train. You used to get paid when the train went, and when the train arrived at its destination, you get paid. I would do that until I'd earned enough money to buy a wind turbine. Then I would have wind turbines to raise extra cash. So before I even started a Let's Play, I would plant a whole load, a ton of trees, because we did have the placeables option then, so it must have been 15. And then speed up time until the trees had grown. Then I'd have all this forested area I could cut down and kind of start working through. So maybe before your Let's Play starts, you might want to pick a field and say, look, this particular map, whichever one it might be, I'm not saying this one particularly, doesn't have a forest type or the sorts of trees I want to cut down, or a forest of my liking. Spend a bit of time making your own forest. You can do. So like I say, I'm going to speed up time. See you in a couple of years. I'm going to do it 8 metre lengths, put them in here, and we'll see how much literage we get from the trees for logging into a sawmill. And then I'll do the same thing. I'll put one of each through the large Jens wood chipper, and just to see, I'm going to stick one through through the normal spout, not through the side, and we'll see what our literage of wood chip is. If it all works out the same, it then comes down to a preference of, do you want to go more immersive, plant your trees, allow them to grow over a period of time, then cut them down? Especially if you're doing logging, you can have a whole cycle running that every 2 or 3 months you plant some more. So when they're at full maturity and you cut them down, in the next 3 months you'll get the next ones to maturity, and you can have a completely rolling cycle. That's up to you. Or do you want to go decorative? Or, again, at the moment I don't think we have got it, but potentially I suppose on PC could be a thing. Log piles you can place or buy, or you can't do it with the I did try that as well. Part of this is probably worth mentioning now. If you do the wood transport missions and you try and use the wood transport logs, you get no literage. I put 29 trees through the wood chipper from a wood transport contract, and I got 7 litres. 7. That was it, and that was through that. So from a wood transport one, and then I thought, well, maybe if I cut them up into smaller pieces, it won't let you cut them up. It says you cannot cut these up because, I suppose, again, they're coded as a wood transport item, not an item you can just have. So yeah, until we get buyable logs, buyable log stacks, if we ever got those, then it's full-blown logging mode, so whatever I do. So let's say, I'll see you in a bit. 2 years to be precise. Let's go. Actually, I'll set it for 10 o'clock. That way we come in at the same time we are now. I've come into the how to plant trees section under the help menu, simply because I thought I was going insane. I thought I was imagining things. It's always been a certain way, therefore should it always be? We can't take anything for granted. However, top section is for planted trees, bottom section is for decorative purposes. So the top section, final paragraph, it says the different types of trees vary when it comes to the duration of growth. Depending on the type of tree, growth periods can differ between 2 and 24 in-game days. So I'm set on 1 day months. So I'm on 1 day months and I've gone through 24 game days, 24 months, which is 2 years. And yes, the trees have grown. But have they grown to that? Nope. So when it says growth, I mean, I had saplings at year 1 that were a little bit bigger than that. When you first put them in the ground, they're a little bit thinner and a little bit smaller. So this is 2 years. And that's what I've got. So I'm going to keep going until they reach that height. I mean, that's their own instructions. It says 2 years. Well, it says 24 game days. And if you're on 1 day months, then 2 years is 24 game days. I'll keep going. The more you delve, the more complicated it gets. We'll get some answers. Ladies and gentlemen, allow me to drop some knowledge. It's been a while. For me, for you, mere seconds. 10 years. 10 game years. And I can prove it too. Just below the Deutz file, we've got the Damcon PL75, which was our tree planter, which I planted the trees with. I've had that 121 months. So 10 years and 1 month it took for the Scotch pine and the Manchurian red pine to fully grow to full maturity to the same size, height, scale as the placeable decorative ones. 10 years and 1 month. However, and this is the knowledge bomb, whilst in kind of second place, well, in second place with regard to log literage and wood chips, with regard to the decorative items, the large lodgepole pine, that was fully grown in 3 years and 4 months. Multiply that by 3, you get 10 years. So in the time it took the Scotch pine and the Manchurian red to get to full maturity, I could have grown 3 of these. So if you take any of the figures from the plantable, growable ones, we'll see what the figures are in a minute, we're just about to do them, multiply them by 3, because that's the equivalent of what you'd get from one of these. 3 trees grown in the same time it takes to grow one of those or one of those. That makes them quite prolific, I have to say. So as far as decorative goes, makes no difference, because you place, bomb, cut them down. We've already done the figures, we've already seen the figures with regard to decorative, but these are the growable. So what we're going to do now, I've already prepped my logs to go into the sawmill. So we've got our large lodgepole, we've got our Scotch pine, and we have got our Manchurian red. I've also, over here by our wood chipper, got our Manchurian red, our Scotch pine. I just want to leave that for the moment because I've got the large lodgepole to cut down. They're going to go through that wood chipper, and I have also got a stack of large lodgepole next to the wood chipper we used earlier, just to do a test with that. Now, the question may have been asked, and I'm playing devil's advocate here. I thought, what sort of questions might people ask or comment on? Why did I not use the smaller base game wood chipper? Well, firstly, because on my Let's Play, this is the one I'm using. This is 38 grand, that's 110 grand. So I went for leasing that instead. So I thought I would compare it to this. But what I will do at the very end, I'm going to bring over the last large lodgepole. I'm going to chop it up exactly the same, and I'm going to put it through this wood chipper. And we'll see if the wood chips out of this are the same as the wood chips out of that, or are the wood chips out of this the same as the wood chips out of that. Because it'd be curious to see whether or not it's the actual mod that's given us the reduction, or just the fact they're smaller wood chippers. I don't know, so we're going to check that. So first things first, our figures from before were 16,632. That was our total we got to from the decorative ones. So whatever I put in now, I will work out my figures based on that. So let's put these ones in first, our large lodgepole. I will see you in a moment when all three sets are in and I've got my figures, so I'll be able to tell you what each lot were worth. I'm curious to see, are they going to be exactly the same, or are they going to be worth more because they grew rather than placed? It's all very exciting. Look at that jump up. I'm thinking it might almost be the same. Give me a moment. Remember, folks, I do the testing so you don't have to. Interesting and within acceptable parameters. Not very different. Our large lodgepole decorative was 5,257 into the sawmill. Our large lodgepole grown planted tree 5,766. So a difference of 500 litres. I mean, not very much at all, to be fair. If we go on to our Scotch pine, it was 2,665 for the decorative. 2,713 for a planted one, and bear in mind that took 10 years to grow to full maturity as well. And then our Manchurian red pine, 8,710 decorative, 8,952 planted. Again, 10 years it took to grow. So yeah, I mean, difference what, 200? Not even 200. 150, 160, not a huge difference. So as far as decorative to planted goes, I honestly thought the decorative stuff had been well and truly nerfed. Considering the size of the trees as well, that's not a lot, is it? 5,200 or 5,766 for a planted large lodgepole. I mean, coming out on top, 4 literage of both logs coming in and wood chip is definitely the Manchurian red. Then again, like I said a little while ago, if you're growing them, you're getting 3 lots of large lodgepole in the time it takes to grow the others. So that kind of wins out in the growth cycle stakes. So onto our wood chipping. I have everything prepped and good to go. Our Manchurian has had to be chopped up into bits. When I tried to put this through the wood chipper with the last one we did, the decorative, the girth of the trees was so big that it wouldn't go in through the wood chipper, so I've had to chop that up a little bit more. So we've got our large lodgepole that's going to go in first, we've got our Scotch pine, and then we've got our red Manchurian red, and then in our wood chipper here we're going to put our large lodgepole through to see if that compares to the previous one we did, and I'm going to put it all through the front, so it should be somewhere around, what do we come out with, 4, 5, 5, 6, and then right at the very end I'm going to stick a large lodgepole through the base game smaller wood chipper just to see if it's comparative to this or comparative to that. So I'll crack on with some wood chipping. I might do the little screenshots as well again, I'm not too sure. Turn that on, and again let's just start with the large lodgepole. See you later. I think the figures are going to be the same. All wood chipping has been completed. I've just realised I might have missed one of the screenshots. So, figures regarding a large lodgepole, Scotch and Manchurian red, planted and grown compared to decorative. Well, it's intriguing. Our large lodgepole, decorative, was 19,154. Our grown, 19,285. Negligible difference. Could have been a difference in height between with cutting the tree down. Could have been the stump height. I mean, tiny difference. The Scotch pine was 7,583 on decorative, 7,432 with our planted. So actually less. Curious. And then move on to our Manchurian red. On decorative, it was 30,446. With our planted, it was 30,008. So a difference of, you know, what's that? 438 litres. I mean, again, negligible difference. So between, as it stands at the moment, decorative and planted, with regard to litrage going into a sawmill and wood chipping, it's almost exactly the same. No difference at all, which really has surprised me. Now, as far as putting a planted large lodgepole through this, our previous was 4,556. With the planted, that has been checked and verified. That is 5,095. So what we're looking at, 450-ish, maybe 400 litres difference again, negligible, but way off the 19,285, 19,154 of putting it through that. So now the final test, which I wasn't going to do, but I'm glad I did. So the large lodgepole, you just saw me putting it through here. I mean, look at the difference in piles already. Now, I haven't checked and verified this yet, so we're about to do it. Now, is it going to be 19,000 odd? It's not going to be 4,000, or is it going to be somewhere in between? If it's somewhere in between, then I just don't know what to say. I just... It makes no sense to me if it's the size of the chipper that dictates the amount of wood chip. Surely it's the size of the tree that dictates the amount of wood chip. Anyway, let's find out, shall we? Now, while I'm doing this, another thing to point out, I'm using the lizard forage pickup. Like I said, all this should be in the description. At the time of recording this, these are the results that I've found. I'm playing on normal economy. We have just gone past update 1.5. Now, if you're watching this video 6 months from when it was recorded and first posted, there could be all sorts of wood chipping and logging mods out. There could be devourers, there could be all sorts of things. And if I use those in the future, the results could be very different. This is at the time of recording. So, let's switch that on. Yep, we're going to up around 19. You know what? I'm absolutely devastated. What does that say? Is that 19,888? That's the highest amount we've had. Now that's the same tree, whether it's decorative or planted and grown. Through that, and then through this, we got more wood chip putting it through this than we did through that. On my Let's Play, I've been using this. All the stuff I've cut down and put through that wood chipper, what? Should have gone with that. That was 38 grand and cheaper to lease. I thought I'm going to have to go for that monster. That's 33 grand. I'm thinking I might switch over to this because I have lost out. Well, I mean, the difference between what? 4,556, 5,095 and 19,000 litres. If that's happened on every single tree I put through, I have lost out on probably 3/4 of the wood chip I should have. So, in conclusion, what have we found? Decorative and planted? No difference whatsoever, really. Negligible. It comes down to whether you want to be immersive and you want to plant your trees and grow them. But as I said earlier, large lodgepole, they will grow in 3 years, 4 months. Scotch pine and Manchurian red, 10 years they will take to grow fully. I don't know why in the description it says 2 years, like 24 game days. I don't know what that's all about. But anyway, yeah, I mean, that's... I was expecting a vast difference between decorative and planted. as it's turned out, not really. And I honestly never would have believed that the wood chippers would be so different. You kind of just assume, you know, a wood chipper comes out, it's a modded wood chipper. It doesn't say in the description that it will give you less wood chips. Why would it? That makes no sense. But anyway, what you do with this information is entirely up to you, what you choose to do. Like I said, I do the testing, so you don't have to. You can make an informed decision about what you want to do, logging, moving forward. And like I said, these are harvestable ones. I understand fully that there are bigger trees with probably far more mass in them, probably far more literage, but they're really fiddly to do. Oh, that was the other thing I want to do before I finish. Putting it through this, and to be fair, if I was going to put it through that smaller one there, the large lodge pole, I could cut that into, well, using the tree harvesters, I used different ones, 2.5 metre lengths. The time it took me to feed the large lodge pole through, compared to the Manchurian, which had to be, it was cut into 2.5 metre lengths, then I had to cut it up even more to get it to fit through here. I'd probably have to cut it up even more to get through that one. I could have put 3 large lodge poles, maybe 4, through this wood chipper in the time it took me to prepare the Manchurian Red. So whilst the Manchurian Red is giving me 30,000 litres compared to 19,000 and something for the large lodge pole, I can process far more large lodge pole trees in the time it would take me to do a Manchurian. So also food for thought. I hope you found this useful and informative in some way, shape or form. If you have, please give us a like. If you don't subscribe yet, please do. If you want to leave a comment, feel free. And if you want to share this video, then please be my guest. Whatever you should choose to do. As always, thanks for watching.